All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast. This is episode number 30. Amazing 30 straight weeks. Some of you have been along for this journey before we launched the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast when we did our Friday night lives. I appreciate you all continuing to tap in. Make sure you swing on over to our YouTube community at REI Inner Circle. You can subscribe, you can hit the bell to get alerted when we're uploading new content, and you can also share and review any of our past podcasts. The first 10 podcasts will be uploaded to our YouTube channel very soon. You're going to see a new format on how we upload our podcast because, as you know, sometimes we go past an hour. And we're going to start breaking those down. There's pretty much a framework and format most successful podcast platforms are using. And we're not going to recreate the wheel. We're gonna adopt the strategies to help build our community that are working for other communities online. Episode 30. Got a lot to talk about. We're gonna start off our Freedom and Wealth Seeker episodes a little different moving forward, where we're gonna tackle Direct Mail Wednesday in the beginning of the segment, and also the Freedom and Wealth Seekers lesson of the week. Okay, we're on lesson 5 of the Freedom and Wealth Seekers lesson. And then we're going to go into the news for the day. And I'm going to share my thoughts. Tonight, I'm going to share a story on how I lost money on my first deal. Some of my students may know about that deal. And I'm also going to bring on one of your fellow Freedom and Wealth Seekers who's actually in one of my coaching programs, who closed her first deal today for a whopping $48,000. So we have to celebrate Jennifer. Already received a couple of texts from some of the other Inner Circle members and Academy members that's you let me know you've already wished her congratulations. So it's a great day here. It's a great day to be a Freedom and Wealth Seeker. When one of us wins, all of us wins. And Jennifer is going to come online with us this evening and share her success story, her journey, and more content around her deal is going to roll out very soon. And we'll be sharing that with you as well. So let's get the ball rolling. Let's just take care of the housekeeping first, and then we're gonna get started. People are still chiming in, so some folks are gonna have to hold on in the waiting room, hold tight. All right, folks, welcome to the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast, where we pride ourselves on sharing, informing, educating, and growing our community with actionable content, actionable information, and resources that you can experience results with. Now, I must give you this quick disclaimer. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, to do your own research and understand that my content is intended to be used for informational and sometimes entertainment purposes only. It is very important that you do your own due diligence before making any investment based on your own personal and financial circumstances. You should research and verify anything that I say, and also consult with a licensed professional if need be as you move forward throughout your journey. So we are going to jump right into Direct Mail Wednesday. This is a mail piece that got delivered to my office in Baltimore. It was about a property that we actually rehabbed. All right. So I'm going to give some constructive criticism here in regards to this piece. And when I say constructive, I don't know the person that sent this. I believe that they probably were new in the business when they sent it, but it's a decent piece. I've done a lot of deals with the same exact style, this format, and I'll share the website where you can actually send these out. I really love these postcards. One, they do make you money. It's made me money. I can't say it's going to make you money ethically, because everybody's going to experience different results. But when I run campaigns using this style postcard, I get responses and it's turned profit for me. Now, this particular postcard, it's really plain. There's an image of the property, right? Now, when I started out in the early 2000s, we used to literally take pictures with a digital camera, okay? We would upload those pictures to our Dell computers. We weren't adopting Apple products 2004, 2005, my company. We would upload the pictures to our Dell desktops. Then we would use a site called Click to Mail, and we would create our own postcard on that site or other sites. I think we used Postcard Mania before, and we would put a picture on the postcard. Now, technology has changed, and the mail houses now, the ones that we use today, there's an option to add a picture of the house. Either you can manually take the picture yourself with your iPhone now or smartphone. Hopefully nobody here is still using a digital camera in their real estate business. Or the company, sometimes it may be a fee, sometimes it may be included, depending on the plan you have, they'll populate a picture of the property. So that's what took place here. I know this person, actually, that's what took place here. This person actually took a picture from their car. Look at that. That's the door of this lady's car, right? So the postcard is real simple. Is this your property? It's a question. Okay. And I love it. Kim, you hit it right on the head. Kim sent me this postcard. It said, is this your property? I look at, yes, it is, right? She took a picture. I'm interested in purchasing your property at 1819 East Belvedere. Would you take it would take it in any condition? I can close quickly and with cash. If you are interested, please call or text me. Have a great day. All right. Basic copy. All right. The company that sends out this postcard writes the message on the postcard for you. You can edit it if you want. All right. Sometimes I let them use their own messaging because it's working for other investors all over the country. Again, I don't want to recreate the wheel, right? And then there's another picture of the house where the message is, right? At the bottom is Kim's phone number. And it also says wholesalingwithkim@gmail.com. So I know like this is a new person at the time of this postcard. So here's a constructive criticism, Kim. One, this property was under construction. So if a property is under construction, the likelihood of selling this property is going to be slim to an investor. All right. This property was definitely, it was a brand new front porch being built at the time she took the picture of this property, brand new windows, as you can see. So it wasn't a raggedy looking house, but it was vacant. But Kim, I commend you on the effort. If it were me, Kim, what I would have done differently is I would have sent out, and I use the same platform you use, Kim. I would have sent out what I call my cash buyer postcard, because this would have saved you money. Now, I believe Kim may have caught on to this because I think this was the only postcard I received from her. I would have sent out my cash buyer postcard, which kind of reads the same. Is this your property? I noticed your house under construction. I was wondering if you were interested in more in that neighborhood. Question mark. I wholesale property. Now that speaks to Kim's email, wholesaling with Kim. So Kim, here's some more constructive criticism. You put your email here. It's kind of descriptive of what you do in the business. And we live in the Google age. So if a seller receives this that isn't working on a property, but they Google wholesaling, there may be some negative news that pops up about wholesalers in their market. Or there may be a informational video that tells people exactly what wholesaling is. And if someone realizes that they're going to sell their property at one price and you're going to sell their property at another price, there's a chance they're not going to want to do business with you. Okay, it's just a chance. So I would change that, Kim, and really speak to your messaging on your postcard. And really, I would use some of the words that are in your postcard, like can Kim closes quickly at gmail.com. Like that's speaking directly to a potential seller. All right. But in all, this is a decent postcard. I use it in my business. You just got to change a couple of things on it, like your email and also the data that you're pulling, or really just your training. I don't know, Kim, if you have a mentor or if you just learned this off of watching YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, but the data I think is inaccurate. That's not a property that fits my buying criteria. Houses that are under construction, my criteria for buying property that I want to wholesale. But clearly, Kim, you are in a wholesaling mode with that email. From my viewpoint, is that's more of a cash buyer. That's somebody that I want to build a profitable relationship with moving forward. All right. So that's direct mail Wednesday, even though it's today is the day we're having this podcast due to schedule conflict. But anyway, I want to touch on the lesson number 5, right? And lesson number 5 kind of rolls into the story I'm going to share with you on how I lost money on my first deal. And it's really keeping control of your deal from start to finish. When you all start investing in real estate, this is very important. You've heard the saying in this business, from contract to close. Well, that's not a saying you want to take lightly. It's very important that you understand the moving parts to, once putting a property under contract, getting it to the closing table. Now, I want you all to know this, that every deal that you do is not going to always close the same way the last deal closed, where you literally could send a contract to a title company, right? Title work gets started. In that meantime, and this depends if you're wholesaling or if you're rehabbing, it may be different, but just to say you're wholesaling a property, right? You get a buyer to buy your interest out of the contract that you sent the title company for a fee. They sign that contract. You now take that contract, send it to the title company. That new buyer that you're wholesaling your interest to in that first contract sends a deposit. Okay. About 2 weeks later, a settlement is scheduled. The deal closes. You get funds. All right. You get your fee, right? You made money. However, the next month you do a deal again, but this time you do it at another title company you may or may not be familiar with. That deal is not as smooth. All right. It's not as smooth. I want you to understand, folks, you'll close a deal, whether you're just getting started or if you're a veteran, and the veterans know this, they do not always close as smoothly as the last deal may have closed for you. All right. So, case in point, the lesson for today, how I pretty much lost control of my first deal. My first deal, my first wholesale deal, okay? Not my first real estate deal, my first wholesale deal. No money down, profit with ownership, without ownership deal. I made $34,000. I was actually supposed to make $56,000. The first thing that I did wrong was when dealing with the owner of these properties. It was 12 properties in West Baltimore. I put the properties under contract on one particular one contract, not 12 different contracts, because in the state of Maryland, the law is, from my recollection, is that, and from my experience, is that every deeded property, when it's time to sell, has to have its own individual contract. I didn't know that. So I put, and I didn't have a mentor and I didn't have a coach to teach me how to wholesale property. So I put all 12 properties on one contract. Now, the person that I was selling the property to, very experienced entrepreneur, owned gas stations, owned law firms, very, very successful. They noticed this and they said, "Oh, Marcel, I noticed your contracts are wrong. Um, we can actually change the contracts for you." And I'm thinking, oh, this big multimillionaire, they can change. I'm a 23-year-old kid. They can change the contract. I trust them. They're lawyers, right? You're supposed to trust lawyers, I guess. So I let them change the contract that I had with the owner. Biggest mistake. Biggest mistake. Now, the thing is, when they changed the contract, they also signed another contract that I had. And that's the only thing that saved me. And it wasn't a wholesale agreement. Okay. It wasn't a wholesale agreement. I had a plain operating agreement that I had this buyer sign before she changed the contracts, right? So she ends up changing these contracts, but she signed my operating agreement. Remember, I didn't have a mentor like Jennifer, who you're going to hear from later this evening. So the deal rolls down the road. Not to mention, I did not know who the title company was that the buyer was using. That's another mistake. So you all, I hope y'all are taking notes, right? I did not know who the title company was. That's the most important people in the deal. It was her title company. Her title company. And let me tell you about these title companies. I have strong relationships with title companies in my marketplace. If you, and what I mean by strong relationships, I've sent them a lot of business directly or indirectly. So we have a rapport, we have a relationship. If you're new on the block, the people, not saying that they're supposed to be on my side 100%, but because of the relationship, they're going to most likely treat you a little bit different than how they treat me, especially if we're in a transaction together. They're almost going to like protect my interests 100%, right? And I love it. It's having an advantage in the marketplace when you have relationships, right? This is life. This is we live in a world where it pays to know somebody, right? That's just our culture living in this country. It's who you know, not what you know. All right. But in real estate, you got to know something. But when you start knowing people, then it really helps in the real estate business. So I didn't know who this title company was. Never spoke to them. The buyer was dealing with them. The seller ended up dealing with them as well. But the great thing that I did early, that I learned in my early years of entrepreneurship, not real estate, but just being an entrepreneur early on, is that it's very important that you build rapport with your prospects and your clients and your partners. Okay. And I built some amazing rapport with the owner. And one of the ways I did it, ladies and gentlemen, I was just like you. Understand, we're talking 2004, 2005. There is no podcast, right? YouTube was not even a thought, right? YouTube wasn't a thought. I was just transparent with the seller. I let the seller know this is my second real estate deal. I'm brand new. I've never done these types of transactions, but I want to learn more. I was very transparent with this guy. He was 86 years old, multimillionaire, had a farm in Westminster, Maryland, probably a big house on that farm. I'll tell you, he had a personal driver drive him to meet me at his properties. I'll never forget it. And that's one of the other beautiful things about investing in real estate. You will never forget your deals, whether they go good or bad. That's one of the beautiful things. Like, it's not like my job was, where I went in and I did the same mundane things over and over and over again every single day for the last 4 years when I was working. Okay. All jobs aren't like that, but my job was. Every real estate deal is going to be different, right? So, long story short, this buyer tried to push me out of the deal, right? If it was, some other things happen, but I'll save that for like a blog post or a video or something. But because of the relationship, I called the owner and I said, I haven't talked to the buyer in about a month. I don't know who the title company is. I feel like they're pushing me out of the deal. This was Roger's words. I'll never forget Roger White's words. Folks, and I'm talking almost 18 years ago, 19 years ago. Roger said, Marcel, you have nothing to worry about. I will not close this deal unless she honors the agreement she signed with you. Because if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't even have this deal. She wouldn't even have the deal. The properties were valued at that time at like $1.3 million. She had got the properties appraised. These properties were valued at $1.3 million. I handed it to her on a silver platter for $556,000. That's a grand slam home run deal. I don't care how you look at it. And the properties were cash flowing. 12 properties, 9 of them were rented out, long-term tenants. It was money coming in hand over fist. So, long story short, again, she skipped on the agreement. Now, that could have done one or two things. And it's crazy. I've heard so many stories from my current students, my past students, and people that I've met at my seminars and boot camps in the past. How many people walked away from real estate because someone either misled them, stole from them, or just did bad business? Okay. They just did bad business and they walked away from real estate. People that went through that same experience I went through walked away because they just didn't want to deal with that type of energy or just that type of roadblock. And I looked at it as a challenge and it motivated me. Like, I didn't get my money. I didn't get my $56,000 the day it closed. Okay. We actually created a payment arrangement. I got $4,500 the day it closed, and then 30 days later, I got $4,500, and then 60 days, not 45, 30 days, and then 60 days, and then 90 days, I got $4,500, and then 120 days rolls around, I didn't get anything. And I'm in college. I didn't make $4,500 a month. I was working part-time for the Social Security Administration. $4,500. I'm still to see that check every month. Like, whew, I'm excited. Then it stopped coming. But what happened is I was still doing deals. I was building relationships, and I had a beautiful relationship with a title company right outside my marketplace. I think the lady that ran that title company, her name was Erica. And Erica was, I always refer to her, she was a bulldog. She dotted her I's, crossed her T's, and she got deals closed. She was amazing. And I mean, the stuff the little things to get deals closed. And some of you will experience that as you go throughout this journey. Your title company is the glue to you getting paid. And through Erica, I met one of my real estate attorneys, and he said, Marcel, this is a clear-cut case. You have it in writing. She should know. This was his exact words. She should know better. She's an attorney, and you're gonna do well. If this goes to trial, you're gonna do well. And now that I know law, I wish it would have went to trial. Probably got a whole lot more money, but we went to like a mediation and it's settled, out of court. But he said if it had went to trial, you'd have got you did well. And I was a kid still in college when this happened. So, the moral to this story, this lesson, is that number one, when you do decide to get into real estate, number one, you should invest in your education. Like it is mind-boggling hear people say, I don't have money to invest in my education, but I want to invest in real estate. If you don't have education, you should not be investing your money in real estate because you are going to lose that money. All right. You have to invest in education. And if you don't have any money to invest in education, you need to be watching every YouTube video. Like you literally, you can watch some of the top college professors. I was studying cryptocurrency and I was watching professors from the Ivy League schools, like MIT. There were people speaking at MIT on cryptocurrency, like MIT. That's like the smartest school in the world, right? But I learned through the school of hard knocks. All right. Number two, once you get the information, you have to build a relationship with a title company. All right. And if you're in the inner circle, if you're in any of my academies, I really go deep into how to build relationships with title companies, how to find the right title companies that will close your deals. Okay. That's the lesson. That's the lesson for today. Build a relationship with a title company. Don't lose control of your deals. Make sure you have something in writing. I don't care if it's on a napkin. It will hold up in court. All right. And the other lesson is if you're out here putting properties in a contract, make sure they have separate contracts for each property. Okay. So that's my story. That's my story, right? That's just not my story. It's a lesson. There's lessons learned in stories. If you got something from that lesson, put a yes in the chat. Let me know. I see some folks already talking in the chat. Yeah, put okay. Yes, Tracy says yes. If you got something from that lesson, this is the Freedom and Wealth Seeker lesson number 5. All right. I don't want to see you all go through that. So this next story is a news story I want to share that I came across I think this was last week, maybe over the weekend. Okay. Yeah, you'll catch up on the replay. So this is a local story, but for the folks that are not in my marketplace, there are a lot of markets around the country that are very similar to Baltimore. And there's a lot of markets here that are doing a lot better than Baltimore as far as the real estate market. But this really caught my eye. Here's why Baltimore's regional housing market isn't overheating. And there's so many arguments out here today about the real estate market nationwide. And it really is a lot of trauma in the market. So there's people like me that, I gotta be honest, I see indicators that say we may be heading back to a crash. And then there's other investors and professionals that are really truly data driven that are saying the opposite. So no one, like I said, no one has a crystal ball. No one knows what's truly going to happen until it happens. But the only thing we can do for the folks that went through the first one and for the folks that are in this now, I wouldn't say, maybe we can say bubble, the bubble hasn't popped yet, is prepare for the worst. My grandmother used to say, always prepare for a rainy day, right? She was saying that like in 06 and I didn't listen and I felt it in 08. So this article reads, I'll read different parts. It says, it's a little like a story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Baltimore's regional housing market was way too hot before the housing bubble burst in 2008. Do I know that? Yes. During the Great Recession, it was way too cold. Now, after years of rising prices, it's just right, according to researchers from two Florida universities. It might sound strange to homebuyers who have waived inspections, paid far above asking price, and borrowed cash from family and friends, but real estate economist Ken H. Johnson said the Baltimore region is possibly the most stable housing market in the country right now. Now, I would love to share this article with you, but you have to have like a membership to the Baltimore Sun. You may be able to Google it. Here's a quick, quick tip. You may be able to Google, here's why Baltimore's regional housing market isn't overheating, and you may find like an alternative blog. Here's why, and I'll copy this and put it in the chat. You may find an alternative blog where someone's writing about the article from the Sun. But these are economists from outside of this marketplace. And it kind of correlates with the last episode when I shared the article about the investor coming from New York. And he stated, it's going to be wild down here soon. And I know exactly what he means, right? That prices are going to be, property's going to be flying from what he's stating. And if that's the case, as properties fly, you want to be right in the middle catching those profits, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be right in the middle catching those profits. Because, all right, now that I'm going to take you into my little crystal ball for a second. I don't call it a crystal ball, but just through my lens is that there is something different than the first crash. And the difference is there wasn't a lack of inventory. There wasn't that, like, I don't recall hearing there's a lack of inventory in the market. There's a lack of inventory in 05, 06, 07. I never heard that there's a lack of inventory. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong because media isn't what it is today, then. But I did get the newspaper. I don't remember reading lack of inventory. I remember reading properties are selling at record paces, but there wasn't scarcity in the market. I mean, every neighborhood in Baltimore during that time, you could find a property. Okay. I remember listing multiple properties and I wasn't getting multiple contracts or people overbidding. This environment we're in is totally different. Now, and I said this before and I'll say it again, other indicators, rising gas prices, rising interest rates. I do remember that. And that's the weird thing. I remember that. Okay. And it's crazy. I was listening to some old songs, Jeezy, Rick Ross, and they used to rap about the recession in the housing market. And it's crazy. I'm going to make some content in regards to rappers. I'm going to start with rappers. I may go to entertainers that talk about real estate in their songs and their material, in their content. I wanna, because it dates back to the '90s. The first rapper I heard rap about real estate was Nas. Um, I mean, he has an epic bar in one of his albums about real estate, and it went over my head when I heard it in high school. But it is prevalent today. Like it's important. It's important today, and I'm glad to see a lot of rappers that have embraced real estate because I believe rap hip hop is probably the strongest music genre in the world as far as the attention that it gets and the impact that it has on our culture and on all cultures around the world. I grew up in a household where my parents said rap wouldn't last, and it outlasted. It outlasted everybody's initial beliefs from the White House down to the middle class family. It's here and it's here to stay and it's forever evolving. So we still got some time left. Let's see. Oh, it's 8:40. I'm already over. This is so motivational. I love it. I love it. Somebody just sent me a text. I love it. So I'm gonna open up the line here. Look, I'm so old school. I'm saying I'm gonna open up the line. I'm gonna ask Jennifer Jordan to unmute and start her camera. I want to talk to you, Jennifer. Are you here?
Yeah, hi Marcel. Hi everyone.
Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. So, Jennifer, you spoke on one of our last podcasts, I believe, and I want to thank you for that. But folks have seen your picture today. You're holding up that huge check for $48,000.
Yes.
Congratulations. I wanted to do that publicly. I know I've said it a few times today, but
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
worked diligently on this. And I want folks to understand, her journey. Like, I want you to understand that this is not a get rich quick business opportunity. This is real estate, all right? And if you're in real estate long enough, you will acquire some form of wealth if you take action with the information that you get. So Jennifer, how we met, did we meet on social media or did you come to a seminar or boot
One
camp?
of my one of my friends invited me to I guess you were doing like a seminar, and
Okay.
that's when you invited us to your boot camp that was happening a couple months um later.
Yeah.
And I decided that I had to make it to the boot camp. Like I didn't care what I had to do. I just had to go. And
Got you.
so yeah, so I spent some time with you in the boot camp, and I made some decisions about, really like what do I need to do to go forward. But I knew that this was definitely the route I wanted to go. So yeah, I made up
Absolutely.
my mind then. Yep.
That's amazing. So I want to talk a little more about that. And I know you probably told me that in the past. I'm glad you brought that back up. Just to give folks a background, you're a school teacher, right? You work in the
Yes.
school system.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
Um, I've been in education in different facets, like for probably like 20 years.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
yeah, I've always been in education. And so now I'm with adults, but I used to work with children forever. So,
Yes. That's amazing. Thank you for your service all those years.
no problem.
So Jennifer, you're also a licensed realtor as well, right?
Yes, yes.
And how long have you been a real estate agent?
Um, I've been licensed since January of 2021.
Okay. Oh, so you're fresh. You're fresh
Yes.
in that industry as well.
Yes.
And I love the fact, like I've seen the shift over the years, since I've been in real estate, that real estate agents, like it only costs, I think it's like $250, $350 to get a license, to take the class or something like that. It's not
So the
that
class is like 199,
yeah,
and then it's like about I can't remember now. It's like $100 for your license. And you
gotcha.
can do it in 3 months, so it's real easy. I mean, not easy, but you can do it quickly.
Gotcha. And of course, you got to learn information, study
Yes.
information, take the
Yes.
exam, pass. So, that's huge because I'm seeing a shift. When I first got into real estate, a lot of real estate agents weren't investing, okay, weren't wholesaling. Now in the 2020s, I haven't run into a agent that doesn't invest. Just from my experience, I know there are agents out here that don't invest, and I tell agents all the time, like, I'm so glad you invest because a lot of agents that are full time, well, if the market does shift, you don't have anything to fall back on. But if you invest, you have something to fall back on. So I want to get back to the boot camp. You came out to my boot camp, and folks, if you're new to the Freedom of Wealth Seekers, before COVID, we used to have these huge boot camps, and I started doing boot camps from in 2012, 2011 was my first boot camp, and the boot camps range in price anywhere from $497 to $1497. I think that was the highest ticket for 3 days. Now at the boot camp, I took you from A to Z in 3 days, everything I know about real estate. But Jennifer, 3 days, all that information, would you agree it can be overwhelming?
It was extremely overwhelming for me because it was my first time being introduced to the information,
Yeah,
but it lit a spark. So I was
gotcha,
determined to learn more about it.
gotcha, gotcha. Now, at my boot camps, I offered one-on-one coaching. At that time, you weren't able to take advantage of my one-on-one coaching. And folks, if you're wondering, I'm very transparent on how much my one-on-one coaching costs. It starts from 15,000, goes all the way up to 50 and 50 grand. And that's working with me one-on-one. Later on, though, you stayed on my email list. You actually joined one of my academies, and that academy was 12 weeks. You went through the academy. Again, just like the boot camp, I put a lot of information on you. I pride myself on over delivering, right? But after this 12 weeks, you expressed to me that you wanted more coaching, and you ended up getting into one of my one-on-one programs. And during that time, I told you, I said, Jennifer, the information is the same all the way around, right? I also said, when people pay, usually they pay attention more. Okay. So, folks, if you go out here and you buy a $19 real estate course, you're probably not going to pay attention to it. It's just like you go out here and get a $10 gym membership. You're probably not going to go all the time. One of my early mentors told me this: when people pay a high price, they take that investment a lot more seriously than they pay for a low price. So I told you that. You got into my mentorship, and then I challenged you, because it's one thing to pay for something, but the next thing is to actually put the information into action. So I challenged you 90 days. And for 90 days, you took disciplined, massive action. Can you share with the audience tonight what that 90 days look like for you? Because you're very humble, Jennifer. I appreciate your humbleness, but you work full time. You're also a caregiver, and I can relate to that. You're also a licensed real estate agent, and you during that 90 days, you had clients, you had house showings, you've been very busy. Could you share that experience over that 90 days with us?
Sure. Okay, so when I started, all these thoughts went through my mind. Like, can I do this? I don't think I could do this. I mean, every day was like a different emotional like roller coaster. But what I had to do was really settle myself and really think about what my goals were. And think about my why. Like that's what really drove me. I did write it down and I put it on my wall so that every day I could see what I'm doing this for. So like you said, I mean, sometimes I don't have any time to myself. Like I devote my time to working. My students are calling me all day, all night. My mother needs me a lot. So it was just like, okay, I have so much on me, like, but my goal is to complete this deal. First thing I had to do was I had to believe in myself. I had to
Yes.
believe that I could do it because everything around me was telling me that I couldn't. I didn't have time. I didn't have the energy. I'm tired. Like sometimes I just wanted a nap. So it's like, no, I'm going to sacrifice this because this is something I believe in. So that was my first step. I had to believe in me.
You're
Um,
dropping jewels, Jennifer. I gotta hold tight.
okay. Okay.
Folks, I tell Jennifer all the time, have you been in this business before? And she speaks like a pro, right? Write this word down. First word, belief. You have to believe you can do this business. That's where it starts. The second thing, I don't think y'all caught it. She made sacrifice. Write that word down. Sacrifice. But listen to what she said, though. Instead of taking a nap, see, we all have goals. We all have these thoughts and these dreams on what we want to do. But how many of us are willing to stop being lazy mentally and pushing through that mental laziness to make our dreams and our goals a reality? Everybody likes a nap, but sometimes when we take those naps, we know we're supposed to be doing something else to get to the bag, to get to the check. But we put it off and say we can do that in 3 hours. See, you got to operate with a sense of urgency. And that's one of the beautiful things that we've developed in my coaching program is a system where we're able to put our students in an environment that is, it's a sense of urgency. It's an environment where there's urgency. And we put this 90-day challenge together. And that's what Jennifer is speaking on. She was in an environment where she was forced to take action. There was accountability there, right? And I want y'all to know, like, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, but I'm not teaching and coaching for you to like me. My best teachers, I hated. My best coaches, I hated. Okay. I'm here to push you to the limits that you don't know you can even go to. That's what I meant when everybody's teaching the same information, folks. Be honest. They put in different lipstick colors of lipstick on it. The difference is, are they there just to give you the information? Are they there to hold you accountable, push you, and motivate you? And that's where I come in. Like, I love coaching. I'm coaching my 4-year-old's basketball team, just like I coach a high school basketball team. The parents think I'm nuts. I'm having fun, though. And guess what? We're the #1 team in the league. Probably on our way to the championship. We got one more game to get past. But Jennifer, that's a whole nother story. I want to go back to your 90 days.
It's
But
okay.
but let's go on because we like folks, look, I'm coaching y'all tonight. We're gonna go past 9 o'clock because Jennifer's deal was a little similar to my first deal. However, she had a mentor, okay, that was able to get her through the pitfalls of roadblocks. And she also has she also had a legal team behind her too. And I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that, but this deal, this $48,000 check that she received wasn't all peaches and cream, folks. It wasn't. And I'll tell you right now, Jennifer, most of your deals won't go down like this one did. But let's get back into the 90 days, and then we're going to unpack this $48,000 deal you closed today.
That's fine. So first I had to believe in myself.
Yes.
Then I think I had to get past myself and trust you. So it's
That's
like,
deep.
so I had to trust my teacher. I had to trust my mentor because there were things you were telling me that was not really comfortable, or things that I
Yes.
didn't necessarily agree with. It didn't
Uh-huh.
feel natural for me.
Yes.
So I had to trust you. And I had to I even like when we were at the height of the conflict,
Yes.
I had to stand on like what I know about you and
Yes.
kind of stand up for what I knew to be the truth. So it was
Mm,
like, even though people were trying to play mind games with me, it was like, no, but I have a mentor who I know is going to have my back through this, and I need to
yes.
have his back as well. So it was
Mm,
like that's
that's
what
deep.
helped me through the whole entire process, knowing that I believed in myself and also like trusting and believing in you as well. So
I love
that
it.
was so that was like for me that was the key. Those were the two key things. The other
Yes.
thing, like you said, I had to stay focused. And it's before the deal. I had to remain focused on again, like I have to get this deal. And like I told everyone the last time, I mean, I went under contract June 11th, so I just made my 90-day um
Challenge.
challenge. I mean, I just made it. So it was like I really had to believe that I could do it. And when it was like, oh my God, time's running out, that's when I had to
The
have that
sense of
real faith in
urgency. The
myself.
sense of
Yeah,
urgency.
yeah. I had to have faith in myself. But
Mm,
also I had already said this is going to happen. So I had to also believe that as I was doing my affirmations and my, like that those positive vibes, I had to believe that it was going to return back to me. And
absolutely.
that's what it did. So it was like, it may not come when you want it, but it comes right on time. So it,
Absolutely.
it really just solidified that. So
Excellent.
that was pretty much my
Uh,
my
this
process.
this is excellent, Jennifer. This is excellent. Speaking of the conflict, so we're now getting into the unpacking of this deal. So this was a deal in Washington, D.C., one of the most sought after marketplaces in the country. Right up there with Miami, Florida, Austin, Texas, uh, Charlotte, Raleigh, North Carolina market, Philadelphia. Washington, D.C. has always been on the map. Um, and that's, the White House is in Washington, D.C. It's the nation's capital. Um, there's a lot of employment happening right in that market, a lot of new industries emerging. And what has happened is it's caused housing to surge in that market. There's a shortage. There's a shortage of property. Now, when you first put this deal together, Jennifer, the interest rate hadn't spiked yet. And from my knowledge, it was going to be a six-figure payday. And we were talking 100 to $200,000 in profit, which would have been just amazing. However, the Fed had other plans for this deal, and it changed everything. Like literally, we had buyers telling us, "Well, I would have easily paid three to 400,000 for this property if the interest rate didn't go up." And it is what it is. And that's the thing. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't at the end of the day. And we put the property out there, and a couple of people made offers verbal. Some more faster than others. And my mindset, Jennifer, was like, let's get this deal done as quickly as possible. This is your first deal. And I know how sometimes these deals can go on and on and on, if they're not sold. And I had no idea where the climate of the housing market was going to go because this interest rate. I hadn't experienced this in recent years. The last time I did, there was almost like a halt in the marketplace, but it didn't just go up back then. Also, there was a bunch of foreclosures taking place. That's not the case here. In this neighborhood, there's a bunch of new buildings being built and new homes being built. So let's talk about the house. Like, what condition was this property in?
So this property was in very bad condition. It was like a hoarder house. I think I said before, like there was like the door was off the hinges.
Mm,
A lot of I mean, it was like it just looked scary. It was just like a scary house to me. Um,
gotcha.
but it was structurally sound. So I
Okay.
mean, it's a rather old house. And it was like maybe I think this was maybe like the fourth generation house. So nothing had
Whew.
been done to that house for four generations. So
Gotcha.
I mean, it was very outdated, and so it was a house that was really not desirable. I mean, it was you couldn't live in it. It was unlivable. So in order for someone to live in that house, you definitely have to renovate it.
Got it. Got it. So it was a rehab deal. It was a rehab deal. Okay. And you started talking to some investors yourself
Yes.
about the property.
Yes.
How did that go? How did that go?
So they were asking for pictures and things like that. They were asking me questions about the house, and I mean, and that's another thing. Like for me, I think I'm so glad that I went through became a real estate agent first because I feel like I can actually talk about the house. I think if I wouldn't have become an agent first, I wouldn't feel comfortable. So that's another reason. I'm glad I did that as well. So I'm comfortable doing it. But yeah, so they did ask a lot of questions about the house that I really didn't know the answer to. But I mean, I did the best I could. I mean, and they were interested in purchasing the house, but I think we went with the maybe like the highest bid of someone
Yes.
who could actually like deliver in a timely manner. But
Yes.
you know what happened with that.
Yep. Yep. And
He was
we're gonna
not
talk
honest.
about it. Like folks, y'all are getting real time. This is unscripted, uncut. If you looked at the date, was the date today on that check, Jennifer?
Yeah, they just cut the check
They
today.
cut the check today. Right. So this is like real time. We've been working on this deal for a little over, it's almost a month. Has
It's
it
been
been
a
a month?
month, yeah, because it was June 19th.
Yeah, June
It's like
19th.
June, yeah, like
So this is real time, folks. So basically this house uh had about $11,000 worth of trash. And when I say worth, that's what the junk person quoted us to clean out the house, right? And we said, oh, we're not gonna bite into our profit to just clean out the house. We'll leave that for the investor. So the investor supposedly sent their contractors over there to inspect the property before they even made an offer. Okay. However, come to find out, long story short, it seems as if they didn't get their contractors in there till the day of or the day before said settlement, and they did not perform in the beginning, and it got a little ugly. The deal got a little ugly, and we're not going to mention any names or anything like that,
mhm.
but we ended up, Jennifer had to take a little less because the buyer claimed that the property didn't have a certain height in the basement. And that was just, you know, that was just totally false, a false statement. Um, because he had enough time to go out and look at the property with a tape measure with his contractor. So he should have already knew the height in the basement. But anyway, this deal wasn't just about Jennifer. And this is like, I think this is the nugget. This is the key to why Jennifer has had this success, because she put the seller first. Write that down. So y'all are getting out of these stories, these case studies, y'all are getting the jewels you need to succeed in this business. Your sellers outside of the title company are just as important, because without them, you have no deal. Okay. If you have a deal, the buyers will come. Don't worry about The buyers will come if you have a deal. But you put the seller first, Jennifer. And when I heard some of the things you were doing for this seller, I knew right then and there you're gonna have longevity in this business because it's not about the money to you, it's about the service. And just some of the things I recall you did for the seller is you went to meet with the seller live and in person. A lot of people try to do everything over the phone and through the computer. You did this in person. You went and met with her. You got keys made for her for the property. You went and picked up keys. You drove her different places she needed to go. I believe you helped her find, she was looking to relocate from where she is staying now.
Yeah.
She wasn't in this house, but she was at another property. You're helping her relocate. And you also took her to settlement. Could you share how the service driven approach, um, could you share that and how that could probably help other people that are trying to put deals together in a competitive market like today? When I say competitive market, like this is the most competitive I've ever seen the real estate market nationwide. Not to mention, Jennifer, you are operating in one of the top 5 most competitive markets, and you were able to outwit, outwork, and outperform seasoned investors that were approaching this seller for many, many years. But she decided to do the deal with you.
Yes.
Can you talk
So,
to that?
I kind of know her from family, but we're not
Yes.
that close.
Yes.
But she found out that I was an agent.
Okay.
And then one day she had a conversation. She called me, and she was like, do you buy houses? Like you buy houses, don't you? And I was like, yeah. She said, well, I've been getting these letters from investors for the last 10 years.
Wow.
But I never really felt comfortable with any of them. And she was like, and I trust you. So, do you want to sell my house? And I was like, of course. I said, well, let's, sit down. So most people were just like,
I gotta break into that. Right?
okay.
She just dropped another nugget, y'all. I'm trying to help y'all, right? You said she knew of you through a family member. Am I right?
Yeah, to my dad. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how did you that? So you I'm gonna share one of my instructions that I give my clients. During the 90-day challenge, you have to let everybody know that's in your phone, that's in your phone book. Okay. You have to let everybody know that you're in the business of buying and selling real estate. Everybody. Is that one of the steps you took throughout the 90-day
That's
challenge?
that's definitely one of the steps I took. But I really like to, well, let me back up a little bit. So what
Yes.
I do in a practice, just because I am what I believe in, is I always look out for seniors. Like the seniors in my life, I call on them, I check on them, I ask them, do you need groceries, things like that. So I sow into their lives without wanting anything in return. So I think that's kind of where that comes from.
Yes.
So I told all my family, friends, everyone I knew that, I just started investing. I can set, I could buy your house, and so I've been telling everyone. And my father is like, he does some home improvement. So he always talks to some people about his daughter. So it's like,
That's
so he's
good.
always telling people about what I'm doing. So he's like one of my best marketing tools right there. So
Excellent.
so he was in conversation with her. I don't know how it came up, but he told her about what I do. So she reached out to me, and she's like, "Can you buy my house?" And so I was like, "Of course." So that's kind of how everything happened. But I took her out to eat, and we actually sat down. And I asked her, "What do you need? How do like?" If we were to do this deal, I don't want you to do it unless you're benefiting something from it. Like, what do you
Yes.
need? And so all she wanted was her mortgage paid. And she said, whatever you get over that is yours. And I was like, what? So I couldn't allow that to happen.
Right.
So it's like I
You
knew that,
negotiated a price that you,
yeah, so I had to have
yeah,
something to put in her pocket. So
got you.
that's kind of how that happened. And
Excellent.
I kind of approached you with it with kind of idea of what I needed to give her.
Hmm.
But
So you made it a win-win.
definitely, definitely,
Excellent.
that's how I do business. Like I'm not going to just, I don't want to just benefit. I want to help someone else as well. And I
Absolutely.
think that always comes back to me, you know.
Excellent. Excellent. So, wow. So this is great. This is great hearing. Like, it's not too often people hear the backstory on how they put a 5-figure deal together. Like, you went and took this lady to dinner. Okay. You were a servant in the deal. Okay. Fast forward, we get this seller. I'm sorry, we get a buyer who's also a senior,
Yes.
right? Like when I tell y'all folks, Frederick Douglass didn't stop buying houses until the day he died. He died around 77, 80 years old. The buyer's 80 years old, right? And we're not gonna touch a lot on him, but it got a little ugly at the end, and you were able to professionally conduct yourself and get this deal closed. I had to step in just a little bit, but you finished the deal. Do
Okay.
you want to talk about that experience?
The only thing that I think I want to share about it, because it can go
Yes.
on forever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is what happened was, um, and I have my theory about what actually happened. I think he was in over his head. I think he
Mhm.
realized that the deal was not really going to be as profitable for him as
Yes.
it probably would have been for me. So I think
Mhm.
that was at the real crux of everything.
Mhm.
But he tried to get out of it. And so the seller had already signed her documents. We had closed on the house. The only thing that we needed was our check. And so they had the deed and everything in hand. And they told me after all that process went on that the lender was holding up the deal. And so he told me, he called me this morning, which was the day after we've closed, and he asked me if I could give him like $8,000. And so I was like, okay, if you would have asked me or this question beforehand, then we could have negotiated. We could have talked about it. But what you did was not good business. And I pretty
Mhm.
much let him, after that, I let him have it in a very professional way. I did
Yes.
not like how he handled himself throughout that whole, throwing a tantrum and all of that.
Yeah.
And basically I told him that that was unacceptable behavior.
Right.
And the only reason I'm going to go ahead with this is because of the seller, and she needs her money, and I'm going to go ahead and let you have this money. But this was not okay.
Right.
And basically I had to kind of let him know that I know a little bit about DC law. And I know that what they're doing is not legal. And
Yes.
I told him he has until 1 o'clock today to tell me to come pick up my check, and that's
Absolutely.
that's that's where it's going to end. And so I think when I started asserting myself and letting him know that I wasn't putting up with him, that's when he gave up, and he like quickly called the title company, and then the
Mhm.
president of the title company gave me a call and was like, you can come get the check. Like,
Yes.
yeah, okay. So I mean, but sometimes you just have to let people know that you're not playing with them, and you're not,
Mm.
like, this is real business. I'm not playing a game. So that's kind of
Absolutely.
what happened. And I mean, it worked out. So
It
I'm
definitely
glad.
did.
So whatever I said in there,
You Jennifer, you are empowering women and people, men and women watching this. You are just empowering folks. I know you are. This is a great interview. I appreciate your time. We're gonna meet up and do another quick video at the property, a recap video. hopefully tomorrow, if everything goes well with the weather. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the closing table more often,
Me
um,
too.
and hopefully under better circumstances. But
Yes.
I'm telling you, folks, these competitive markets, there are a lot of sharks in the water swimming around, and a lot of them are hungry. So you got to be careful out there. One of the best ways of doing that is getting the right education. As you can hear, Jennifer is very well versed. She believes strongly in investing in her education. And folks, my advice to you is find a mentor, whether it's me or somebody else. But also join the Freedom and Wealth Seekers Academy that's coming soon. Is less than the car payment, $347 a month, where we're going to be covering several niches in the real estate business, from wholesaling, local government foreclosures, rehabbing, rental properties, Airbnb, and flipping landlords, and much, much more. Folks, I'm loving this podcast. We are done with episode 30 in the books. I can't wait. Jennifer, again, thank you for blessing us tonight with this
Thank
inspirational
you.
story and sharing your testimony and this case study. I got to ask you the question, though. I always ask my students this: how does it feel closing your first profit without ownership deal? How's it feel?
It's amazing. I mean, it feels like it was easy. It wasn't, but it feels easy because it's over. So, I
Yes,
mean, I just want to tell everybody, if I did it, you can do it. So, so yeah,
absolutely,
it feels great.
absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, stay blessed, Jennifer. I look forward to bringing you back. As I told you, we're going to do another 90-day challenge. You're working in a challenging market, but I believe there's some more opportunities, specifically in that neighborhood. When you strike gold, you got to keep digging. Don't just stop there. There's more gold to be found in that community. And I'm pretty sure you'll pull out some more deals in that neighborhood. Folks, we'll see you next week. We definitely went over tonight, but it was well worth it. Again, folks, I salute you all, and I look forward to seeing you all at the closing table soon. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.